You know, the thing about Tom Wilson is... Shut up! No intro today! Dude, I said shut up! Hi! They cut the music! Alright! Unacceptable! How do we have to have the same conversation so often? Constantly getting pushed around, not coming up big when it matters. I don't know if a tougher mentality is needed or what. It's like there's no belief. Some guys need to take the blue and white right off their back. Because if you're not in this to win this, get out of here! I am talking, of course, about you lot! I'm listening to the Harry Potter audiobooks. Caps fans, forgive me if I forgo the If I Were You segment in this one. I ask a question all the time, and I have not done it recently. And it shows! Because I, myself, have been frustrated. I, myself, have lost faith. Is Babcock the right coach for this team? Is this team seriously gonna go into the playoffs with Ron Hainsey on the top pair right-hand side instead of Jake Muzzin, who they just got? How on earth are they going to be able to sign Mitch Marner, Andreas Janssen, and Kasperi Kapanen? And how on earth, once they manage to re-sign all three of them, are they going to be better next year when they can't afford anything? What's happened to Mitch Marner? Why are the Islanders better? What if the Matthews contract sucks? What if they just lose to Boston again? I feel it. I know you feel it. I think we all feel it. Let's talk about it. The Leafs didn't do this. The Leafs didn't do that. Tom Wilson. You see Tom Wilson? Tom Wilson out there? Why don't the Leafs have a Tom Wilson? They need to go out and get Tom Wilson. They need to get big size and grit and big grit size. Which is something I'm sure you're bound to believe once it's shoved down your throat, eyes and ears for months on end by everybody. It was all game long and I'll cop to it. The organization I work for does it an awful lot too. Damn Adam Wild and his agenda. I'm kidding. I'm having people blowing up Twitter talking about how bad the Leafs were in this one. How they didn't have this and they didn't have heart and they didn't have that. Because that's what your mind is telling you. Not your mind, sorry. Your anxiety. Your experience, if you will. You're your Leafs fan. You've been a Leafs fan for a long time. And you've seen this movie before and you're tired of sequels because they all suck. Worrying that the Leafs have become the Star Wars franchise of the NHL. Like, gosh, things are so much better and fun and entertaining now. Compared to what, decades ago? Or episode 1 and Attack of the Clones? Here's something you say. Here's something that is said all the time. Here's something that was said about the Washington Capitals the year that they won the President's Trophy and played the Leafs in the first round. They were so good and just relied on their talent and they had no adversity to deal with, and then once they were confronted with it, they crumbled. That is this fan base. Things started too good and we said contender 1,000 too many times. As if Tampa and Boston are gonna go undefeated forever. As if the Leafs will never win a game again. You yell and scream, you carve the team for the way that they played in the first period against St. Louis. You fill your boots. They were awful. They were terrible. It was unacceptable. Oh, they have bad starts and this, that, and the other. The Leafs kicked the defending Stanley Cup champion Washington Capitals up and down the ice from the moment the puck was dropped in this game. All night long, nothing but hits. Well, the Caps are just a heavier team. They were banging and crashing the Leafs all night. No kidding, they never had the puck. Hits were 35-17 because the shots were 42-28. Leafs outplayed them in the first. The Caps had a pretty good second, and it was all Leafs in the third. Earlier this season, the Leafs lost 4-1 to Tampa, and it's a notorious game in the season because the Leafs actually looked very good against Tampa. They looked like the better team that night. What happens? Andrei Vasilevsky puts on maybe the best goaltending performance we've seen against the Leafs this season. And people were mad and people were bummed, but ultimately, people chalked it up to, well, they got Vasilevsky in this game. In this one, give the Capitals their due and give Braden Holtby his due. He was spectacular in this game. He was forced to stop 40 of 42 shots, and you're gonna say that they lost because of a lack of heart? They got robbed. Yeah, but the Capitals, with their toughness, kept the Leafs to the outside. Did they? Because here's a little combination, all right? I watched the game with my eyes, and my eyes say that's wrong. And I go, let me check something. This is from naturalstattrick.com, an excellent stats website. Look at the Leafs heat map. Look at that. It was a party in front of Holtby all night. Hyman had a few wide open nets, just couldn't bang it in, whiffing on them. There was the one in the third period where Andreas Janssen scored a goal, and then Zach Hyman, he's about to bang it in. John Carlson takes a penalty that prevented a goal. It would have tied it 2-2. A goal that would have filled the net instead of diapers. Here's how I saw it, all right? Riley got a call for holding Evgeny Kuznetsov, and I got that penalty. But the Ovechkin kick in the stick, that was missed a little bit. So naturally on the ensuing power play, Alex Ovechkin scores from the, oh my goodness, the Leafs. If only they had played with more hearts, they would have prevented Alex Ovechkin from doing the thing that Alex Ovechkin has done for over a decade. Really? If the Leafs had Tom Wilson, or even better, Adam McQuaid, they would have stopped Ovechkin from doing the Ovechkin thing. They would have stopped the best goal scorer in NHL history. Did I stutter? The best goal scorer in NHL history. He's been doing this forever in this era. In an era where no one scores goals, he's been doing this. All right, so there's that one. The Connolly goal, I hated. Gardner has the puck behind the net, and Tom Wilson hits him, knocks him over. That just creates some chaos. Brett Connolly ends up with the puck. He bangs it in past Freddie. It's 2-0 now. And you look at that and you go, see? A goal that was generated by Tom Wilson, who's Toronto-born and giant, and he has a beard and he's tough and over. That's why my darling friend Faisal Kamisa, he's so cute. The other night he's like, what? Where's all this Wayne Simmons to the Leaf stuff coming from? Because we've been programmed to adore players like that since birth. But I'm gonna throw this out there. Tom Wilson is not the only player in the league who would have knocked Jake Gardner over on that play. It's easier to knock guys over who are standing perfectly upright, which Gardner was. He wasn't ready for the hit. So I would hang that one on Gardner in a game where otherwise he was great. Missed the net a little bit more often than I would like, but he played 22 minutes, and would you believe me if I told you he led the team in hits with 3? As if anyone who doesn't like him cares. At some point during the game, Babcock did a thing that he should have done a while ago and should do permanently now. Puts Andreas Janssen with Austin Matthews, and he scores immediately. And it's amazing he only got 1 goal because Andreas Janssen got 10 shots on goal this game. The highest shooting cap was Backstrom with 4. Patrick Marleau, great in the locker room, whatever. He was 8th all time in NHL games played tonight or something like that. That's wonderful, and that's great, and I think there's a place for that on this team, but it ain't beside Austin Matthews on the ice. That's Yanni. It's bid Yanni. Make it Yanni forever. Leafs have a power play in the 3rd period. The Caps take advantage of a rebound. Janssen is never able to catch up to Eller. It's a 2-on-1. Riley tries to cover the pass. He doesn't get it. It goes to Wilson. Scores. Leafs pull Freddie with like 4 minutes left. They throw everything but the kitchen sink at Braden Holtby. Tavares scores with 32 seconds left. A little bit of hope. It's not enough. They lose. So this game was not without fault. This game was not without momentary weakness. But the Caps showed weakness way more often than the Leafs. The Leafs showed strength way more often than the Caps. The Leafs outplayed the Capitals in this hockey game. In the same way that the Leafs outplayed Tampa in the hockey game that Vasilevsky stole. What's the difference? This loss gives the Leafs their 3rd straight loss in February, days before the trade deadline. That's why you're freaking out. And dude, I get it. But, and I want you to think about this seriously, I'm not even joking around. Are you in? Yeah, for a 1st round series against the Bruins. Yeah, for a scenario where the Bruins have home ice advantage. Because if you are, that's wonderful. Welcome to the heartache that is this team. There's a reason my book's not called I'm Perfectly Fine. If you're not in, let me ask you a question. We'll start first question, Steve Dangle. If you're not in, why do you do this to yourself? Huh? There's lots you can do with your time. There's lots of hockey to watch. There's lots of hockey teams to cheer for. Why do you do this to yourself? What, I'm not allowed to criticize the team? Of course you are. Of course you are. But it's gotta be based in reality, man. You gotta be here. You gotta be where actual real life is happening, because I think too much of it is going on in here. And they're not perfect. Here's my personal wish list, alright? I want Janssen to play with Matthews permanently. The only scenario I will permit where Janssen doesn't play with Matthews is you have Kapanen on the left and Nylander on the right. Oh, buddy. Other than that, there is no reason, none, at 5-on-5 Matthews should play another shift away from Andreas Janssen. This game, I thought, was an excellent one for Ron Hainsey. I really liked him, I'm not gonna lie. And of course, Gardner played a ton in this one. I think Babcock must have gone to Riley Gardner later in the game. I didn't notice. But when the game's close, everyone's within 1. When it's tied, Mike, knock it off with Ron Hainsey on the first pair. Stop it! Stop it! You're a smart coach and you get paid to be one. What about this is or has ever been smart? I think it was smart once upon a time. And look, Morgan Riley is such a much better defenseman than when Ron Hainsey arrived with the Leafs. What are some things they could try? Well, they could go out and, get someone. Or they could, I don't know, I'm just spitballing here. I'm going to throw this out there. Put Muzzin with them, which you tried for 4 games before stopping. You perennially perplexing prairie person. And that thing I've sort of been mocking in this video, size. Yeah, sure, go out and get some. Listen, unpopular opinion, they should have been all over Devontae Smith-Pelly. He must still be available. I mean, that's like Christmas for the Caps that they're able to call him up for the playoffs. And after ranting about stats, I had people send me charts and, oh look, Smith-Pelly's numbers aren't even as good as Gautier's this year. And I've had Caps fans go, yeah, well, he didn't have a very good season. Well, he didn't have a very good season last year either. But his playoffs, and specifically Stanley Cup final, were monstrous. And you can show me every stat out there, and I will love it and I will listen to it, but there is something in me that remains that goes big man score playoff goal. And how about this? I thought Nylander had a good game in this one, especially in the position he was put in playing center. But Babcock basically didn't use the fourth line in this one. He used Per Lindholm and Freddie Gauthier, I think, 5 minutes. Meanwhile, on the Marlies, you got a team full of guys who went 4 rounds deep last year in the Calder Cup playoff. Be the Joker, grab a pool cue, crack it over your knee, and tell everyone we're having tryouts. Because I haven't minded Per Lindholm this season, I haven't minded Freddie Gauthier, I've downright liked Tyler Ennis this season. But if you watched him last year, for this stretch run and in the playoffs, I think it's time to go full-time Trevor Moore. Tenacious, annoying jerk who doesn't play his size and tore teams apart for 4 rounds last year. Not to mention, played in the NHL this year and looked great! The only reason Trevor Moore is still on the Marlies, this whole, oh yeah, we want him down there scoring goals. No, he was doing that in the Chell! I just call it the Chell. Sorry, I'm worked up. The AHL is technically the Chell. He was doing that in the NHL! He's only down there because he's waiver eligible. Otherwise, he deserves to be on this hockey team. So you might as well do it now because he should be on this playoff roster. Well, don't you want him on the Marlies for a playoff run? Nope, done that, I'm bored. The Marlies have one primary objective: develop Maple Leafs. Trevor Moore is a Maple Leaf, make it so. Listen, this team gives you reasons to be mad at it. This team gives you reasons to break faith. Tonight was just not one of those nights. So now that you're out of the heat of the moment, let me ask you again. Are you in? Questions. Why? Because, Mike, for crying out loud, what do you want from me? I just said that they should call up Trevor Moore for the rest of the season. Why? Really asking why? Because the parade is gonna last a month! It'll be pandemonium and the streets, the Canadian economy will collapse! And it will be the best! And it'll all be worth it. Ask a Caps fan. Why do you allow the Leafs to torture you every year? Because I started making videos about the Leafs 12 years ago, people started watching them, now it's my job and I'm not good at anything else. And also, even more childishly, there's part of me that believes. People are willing to believe in a lot wackier things than the Toronto Maple Leafs, okay? On that note, for the love of God, everybody, vaccinate your kids. I still don't believe Tom Wilson was a nice guy in French class, do you? I think part of what I hate about Tom Wilson is it is believable that he was a nice guy in French class, and I wish he was just a jerk. In the same way that I like to imagine Brad Marchand eating shoe soles out of dumpsters, which is totally easy to picture. You're picturing it right now. Can I cry? Yes, you can. It's perfectly natural and normal. I do it all the time, but could you please get it out of the way and dry your eyes quickly? There's another game on Saturday. Are we overreacting? Mocha, what might have given you that impression? Also, are we overreacting? Yes, it's our job. Because we care. You take the good with the bad with Leaf fans. What made me so anxious about the Leafs of the past is I did not have faith in them to be smarter than me, which is a scary prospect because I don't think I'm very smart. One might even say that I think I'm dumb. But looking around 2013-14-ish, and was I wrong? For the first time in a long time, I have faith that this Leafs management group is smarter than us. Pray that they're smarter than us and that they're in with their head just as much as their heart. So that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you liked this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends. And my book, I'm Perfectly Fine, is still available for pre-order. And there's a link down below. It's only February. Oh, watch Sportsnet's trade deadline coverage on Monday. I'm going to be on it. I should have mentioned that. There's no time now. We'll have to do it next time.